Welcome to the selfgrowth.com show. My name is David Ricklin, and I'm the founder of selfgrowth.com. Today, we're going to be discussing a fun new book titled The Adventures of Spike the Wonder Dog. That's right, Spike the Wonder Dog is told to Bill Boggs, and our guest today is the one and only Bill Boggs. Before we get started, Bill, welcome. Good to see you.
Go ahead. I interrupted you. I'll leave, finish, and I'll be back.
All right. Before we get started, I just want to take a couple minutes and share some information about you and share some information about Bill. For those of you who don't know Bill Boggs, he's a 4-time Emmy Award-winning TV talk show host. He's best known for interviewing a wide range of celebrities on his TV talk show. And we'll get into that in a little bit. His third book is a satirical novel set in the world of TV and narrated by fiction's funniest canine. It's The Adventures of Spike the Wonder Dog, as told to Bill Boggs. It's a lot of fun. It's published on May 19th, and it's available now. You can get it through Amazon, Kindle, wherever funny books are sold. And I just want to give everybody a website. You can always search for it on the internet, The Adventures of Spike the Wonder Dog, or you can go to orderspike.com. That works as well, Order Spike. I'm giving you a blatant plug over here. It's a lot of fun, a lot of good parts. You definitely recommend the book. Bill, welcome to our show.
Oh, it's nice to be here. By the way, is this like an underground bunker that you're in right now?
It is an underground bunker, and somehow I was able to get a picture of Spike the Wonder Dog. He's all over the place.
I see him right there. Yeah, he's my friend. I have him with me now.
I like it. I like it. You got the actual book. I just got a picture of the book, and of course, I have the manuscript for the book. So tell us a little bit about the story, Spike the Wonder Dog.
Well, you said wherever fine books are sold. I will say wherever funny books are sold. I started my career in comedy. And a long time ago, before I went to New York, really, and a long time ago, 1975, I had a show in North Carolina called Southern Exposure with Bill Boggs. And on the show was an English Bull Terrier, who's my own personal beloved dog, who got a big reputation, was very, very funny, a natural clown of a dog. People know what that's like. Their dogs get them laughing. Right. And so he became Spike the Wonder Dog, a personality on the show who got he got dog mail, he got fan mail, more than I. Anyway, before I went to New York for my big break to do a show called Midday Live with Bill Boggs, he was killed by a drunk driver. It's a horrible, horrible, horrible thing. And it was a grieving day. I always missed him. So fast forward about 3 years ago, my last television show, My Generation, went off the air. It was on PBS, and I just said, I want to commit to writing now. I've had 15 different TV shows. Mm-hmm. I've been chasing work all my life. I wrote one other novel that was picked up, purchased for a movie by a multi-Academy Award-winning person. I don't want to say the name because nothing happened with it, but they bought the rights. And I wrote a self-help book for HarperCollins. And so this book, the idea was, all I had was an idea, was this, because I love dog stories and they're very popular. What if Spike, who was killed, hadn't gotten killed? And what if he had come with me to New York when I got my big break? But in today's world, he became a big television star and a big social media star. So that was the thought. And I thought, let's just see what happens. I sat down to write it on this very MacBook Air computer. And as any writer who's watching may know, a wonderful thing happened. The voice that I needed to write in came to me. And the book is narrated by a dog.
Right.
And it was somehow I took this mind's eye that I had, this comical dog of mine, and his personality got transported into the writing process. And within 1 hour, I knew I had something special because I was writing and communicating in a way I had never written in before and never spoken in before. And it was funny. I thought it was funny. And so when I finished the book, which is a satire set in the world of social media, television, narrated by a dog who has the observational eye of, say, Jerry Seinfeld, who's being called fiction's funniest canine. When I finished the first draft, just like a comedian who would go to their nearest comedy club, just like anybody, like Chappelle, like Seinfeld, like Lisa Lampanelli, they're doing a special.
Mm-hmm.
They don't just go on television and tape it to the
Right.
public. They test it. You got it. So I paid by taking them out to dinner. 10 people. I said, I'll take you out to dinner. These are people I knew. I said, I don't want compliments. What I want is a critique. I've worked hard on this, but I need to know what you think. I said, you have like a month. So by the time they all read it, like 2.5 months had transpired. But 10 people, each one said to me, this is laugh out loud funny. This is worth working. So I went through it again as a comedy writer, polished it up. As I started my career as a comedy writer. Then it took 6 months to get a book deal, which I got with Post Hill Press. This is not self-published, long-time, solid publishing house. So that's a long answer from a long-winded guy who's had a dog talking in his head for 3 years as he wrote the book.
Oh, it's funny because as I was reading it, I'm thinking, someone, Bill, you're channeling
Yeah.
Spice. You know, and it's funny to get inside this dog's head. It's because you're literally getting inside how this dog who's gaining stardom and getting, as you mentioned, getting a following. It's funny to hear because a lot of times the way he's thinking would be like anybody's thinking, but he's thinking from a dog's perspective. So it's a lot of fun.
You know, little did I know when I finished the book, little did I know 9 months ago when I got the book deal, that we would be in the crisis of our lives now, in the middle of a pandemic. I knew I'd be promoting the book, but I feel now, which I'm obviously doing, that it's a more purposeful promotion. And I'll tell you why. Short of a vaccine, the best medicine we have is a diversion of laughter.
Yes,
something that can genuinely free our minds from the dreadful, horrible situation we're in. And I can guarantee that if somebody commits to the Kindle version of Adventures of Spike the Wonder, or buying the book, not expensive, and really sits down and reads it, they like to read, if they like dogs, if they like comedy, if they like to laugh, it will be a true diversion, because it is nothing exactly like reading something that makes you laugh. The most recent person who read the book was Ed Kalegi, who has a wonderful show, Weekends with Ed Kalegi. It's a nationally syndicated show. He interviewed me 2 days ago, and he really read the entire book. He said, Jesus, I was laughing out loud all the way through it. This is like really sharp satire. And I was, wow, you're the first person, essentially, who is a professional person who has read the book, who's interviewing me. So when it was all over, it was all the compliments he was giving me. I hung up, the interview. I turned to my girlfriend, Jane, I said, Jane, maybe it's really good. Like that. We laughed. But anyway, so the purpose is diversion. And I intend to write a sequel to this as soon as possible, once we get this launch done. The diversion of comedy. It's the second best medicine after a vaccine.
I like it. And it's a good break. Everybody I know is hooked on Netflix or watching television or stuck watching the news. It's a good break. It's good. Kind of reward yourself with a little diversion to hear from the mind of Spike the Wonder Dog. So one of the things I wanted to ask you about, because as I was reading it, there's some stories and some pieces of the puzzle that kind of strike me as very much similar to your story of you coming up through television. It's kind of an element of almost an autobiographical, a little bit of a memoir. Are many of the stories, how close is that? Is there somewhat of a memoir in there? How much of this is your life?
No question. Well, look, the arc of the story, it begins in High Point, North Carolina, where on a show called Southern Exposure. The dog has a master who's a talk show host, just like me. I started in North Carolina on a show called Southern Exposure. All kinds of things happen down there. They get a big break, they go to New York. The dog doesn't want to go to New York, but the master, he's loyal to his master, they go to New York. They're working on Channel 5, where I worked for 13 years on Midday Live with Bill Boggs and other stuff. So it follows the arc of my career. So you're reading some really potent elements of satire about television written by a person who's been in television for 40 years. Now, it's not all about television, because it's really, in some ways, it's a love story between Bud, who's the owner, and Spike, his dog, and what they do for each other, what they feel for each other, as they have a bunch of, completely crazy antics. And a lot of celebrities pass through the book, just like they would. Essentially, I've been blessed to have that in my life. Joy Behar has a big party. Richard Johnson from the New York Post is out there in Vegas covering a fight. We meet Bill Maher. All kinds of people come floating through the book.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I see, it's almost like a behind-the-scenes view of what's going on in the entertainment world, and in television. So you're getting to see what's going on behind the scenes, which is a lot of fun for someone who isn't in the industry.
Yeah, it takes you in the world of television. I'll tell you what, to give you a kind of a sense, I'm going to try a multiple choice question on you. You may or may not have read the entire book. Okay. One of these answers is true, right? What leads Bud, that's the owner of the dog, what leads Bud and Spike to getting on the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon? That's the big thing.
I remember when he's on Tonight Show.
Ready? A, Bud meets Jimmy at a wine bar and they get bombed on 3.5 bottles of cheap Muscadet, and Jimmy invites him. B, Bud beats Jimmy decisively in an epic Jell-O shot drinking contest and wins an appearance. C, Spike rips off Donald Duck's head during a performance of Disney World on Ice. D, we're not really sure how they got on the Tonight Show. A, B, C, or D?
I don't remember this, but I got to go with D. I'm trying to remember how. I don't remember specifically, so I got to go with D. But
remember that Spike ripped off Donald Duck's head. Disney World on Ice. Okay, here, I'll try this one. Spike's rival TV station in High Point, North Carolina, creates a robot, right? An anchorman robot that is much more lifelike than which highly paid anchorman on whom the robot is based. Got it? Got the question?
Okay. I got the question.
A, Scott Pelley. B, Scott Pelley. C, Scott Pelley. D, wait, how could Scott Pelley possibly be more lifelike? All right, one more. At the MGM Grand Hotel, Spike has to fly in the Max X laxative drone that delivers laxatives to opioid users in isolated areas of the Midwest. The Max X, this is of course made up laxative drone, all right? What is the drone's advertising model, right? A, when you stop, we drop. B, enjoy the whole bottle for true explosive relief. C, want more opioids? Call 1-800-NEED-NOW. D, all this plus Bolivian blow. A, B, C, or D?
I'm going with B.
No, the Max X laxative drone motto is, when you stop, we drop. Anyway, well, I got you smiling there. I have plenty of these. You want one more?
I like it. Let's go. I want to jump into it. You want to go one more? Go one more.
Whatever you want. All right, well, here we go. Regis, what does Regis Philbin tell Spike's master Bud when he appears on Bud's TV show? A, never dye your hair orange like me. B, avoid a long-term professional relationship with Kathy Lee Gifford. C, fame is illusionary. D, hey, that Pelley robot is good. A, B, C, or D?
I'm going with D on this one.
No, fame is illusionary. He gets very philosophic with Bud. But it's just a tiny sense.
I like it. Yep.
It's a tiny sense.
It's good stuff. So, one of the things I wanted to ask you, because I know you've got a lot of people that have gone through the book, and I just want to remind everybody, Adventures of Spike the Wonder Dog, there's a lot of laugh out loud moments. Go get the book. You've also had a lot of reviews for the book. Can you share just a couple reviews of people that I know you've sent out the book to a lot of people?
Since you asked, yeah. Let's see. Here, well, here's one from the executive producer of one of Hollywood's top comedy managers, the executive producer of Last Man Standing and Home Improvement, the big Tim Allen shows. Bill Boggs draws upon years of experience as a TV talk show host for this satirical look inside the wacky world of TV talk shows. The nonstop comedic banter from Dog Spike, who could have a stand-up comedy career if he was human, makes the story flow like you're watching a great sitcom. Here's one from the author of the acclaimed biography of Joan Rivers, which is called it's called Last Girl Before the Freeway, right? Leslie Bennett's quote. Like Joan Rivers, The Adventures of Spike the Wonder Dog is definitely not for snowflakes, but fans of transgressive humor like Family Guy or Dave Chappelle will appreciate Spike's wild tales, which are raunchy, hilarious, and spectacularly politically incorrect. Bill Boggs has the manners of a gentleman, as so does Spike, so they'll both understand if you take offense. Rivers would have said, just go fuck yourself. There you go.
I like
it.
it.
We have 15 major reviews in the book.
All right, good stuff. So one of the things I know in the book is you kind of see his rise in fame, and as Spike gets to be more well known. The price of fame's an element of the story. Can you tell us a little bit about, obviously you've been out there a long time. Has that been a problem? How's fame and as a problem or challenge for you personally?
You know, well, the great song, Make Someone Happy. Fame, if you win it, comes and goes in a minute. Where's the real stuff in life to cling to? I think that you can't become attached to fame. You have to be attached to the work. My second book, Got What It Takes, I interviewed Renee Zellweger, and she said, you can't be in your business because you want to get famous. Right. You have to be in your business because you want to do the work. Now, the effect of fame on you can be interesting because it's not necessarily something that it makes things easier. We can get restaurant reservations. It's easier to get tickets and stuff like that. But at the same time, being highly recognizable, which at one time I was in High Point, North Carolina, everywhere I went, every single person knew who I was. I came to New York, and just because of the density of the population, it was never exactly that intense. But at one point, I would walk down the street, 6 or 7 people would be waving and saying hello. At the peak of, I was on 7 days a week on television for 6 months at one point, and then 13 years on midday. So a lot of TV exposure. What I found was this, that you only get one chance to make a first impression ever in your life. And so you're walking down the street, and if you're in a big hurry, I'm in a hurry like everybody else in New York, and that 80-year-old woman or that 23-year-old kid who's been watching you, in high school when he was homesick, comes up, Bill Boggs, hi, and you don't have time to connect with them. I'm not talking 10 minutes, but like look them in the eye, give them your undivided attention, say hello, thank you for your kind words. You rushed and shoved them off, they'll remember that the rest of their lives. Right. Mm-hmm. So I had a thing that I did where I would always factor a 5 to 6 extra minutes. Like if I went to Lincoln Center a lot, and I would walk from my apartment right there in the corner of Columbus Circle. And I'd always give myself like 6, 7 extra minutes than a normal person would who had the tickets, who was going, in case I got stopped to talk to people. But the price of fame, it never went to my head. It always made me feel good. I think it made my parents happy. And it just showed that I must have been doing something right,
Well, people recognize.
But in the book, the price of fame is related to being famous and not being happy with what you're doing. And that leads Bud, the central character, off in a bad direction.
Right. Do you want to share another story about Spike and Bud? something that really jumps out at you, another story that's kind of illustrative of the types of adventures they were going through. So what else jumps out at you?
Well, I'm going to go to the first page of the book, the first chapter in High Point, North Carolina. And I'll just give you a sense of, of what's going on. This is narrated by Spike. Just a little bit here. Spike talking, page 1, right?
Right.
Bud took me to the TV station that morning. I'd never been on television. I was 9 months old with a basic immediate goal of mastering control of basic excretionary function. I've been out of control a lot recently, so maybe that's why I got hauled to the studio in the first place. He sits me in a big blue chair on the set and rattles off the day's guests. A psychic who's boldly predicting that Adele will replace Marie Osmond as a Nutrisystem spokeswoman exactly 5 years from today. Lawyer Gloria Allred's proudly displaying 2 big digital devices that demonstrate the number of men blamed for sexual misconduct is rising faster than the national debt. Some PC singers on promoting his new album of songs revised to be gender neutral. He's going to sing, "You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Person," right? There's a doctor warning of a scary new thing, which is actually true, a scary new thing plaguing humans called dormant butt syndrome, which has most of the audience goosing themselves to check. Finally, he's got an interview with Cher that he taped after a show at the Greensboro Coliseum. Now look, I know Cher is so old that she's up there with dead people like Alexander Hamilton because there's a Broadway show about her, but don't get me started on Cher. Every time I see her on TV, I want to lick those thighs. So that's the start. That's the start of the book. All right?
All right. So it makes me thinking, are these all things that you really wanted to say and do? But we'll get into that we'll leave that for another time.
I wanted to, look, I wanted to send up some of the crazy guests who were always trying desperately to get on television. One of them that I made this up, was a guy who comes on with the Pants Enhancer. It's called the Pants Enhancer. And it's a new product that the host, of course, has to demonstrate this. And it's the Pants Enhancer is the codpiece for the modern man, right? Men feeling marginalized, needing to be more the success at a party, the Pants Enhancer is your answer. So there's all manner of nutty stuff like that going through the book. It's fun to read it. I've never really read it out loud until this very moment.
I like the Pants Enhancer, and I'm guessing there's already several products.
Pants Enhancer. I mean, that's the answer.
That's the answer, and I'm guessing that
is the answer.
I'm guessing if you go to Amazon, you'll find several versions of that online right now that people are having shipped.
You can find anything on Amazon, including The Adventures of Spike the Wonder Dog. Just order spike.com.
I like it. And another blatant plug. One of the things I'm tempted, I don't know if we want to go into it. So how is it that you can communicate with Spike? But that's a funny part of the whole book. So I recommend, I don't want to steal that one away from everybody.
What is that?
How is it that Spike could communicate?
You have to read how the dog actually told me the story.
Yeah. But
this is really privileged information. You really have to get into how the dog got to tell me the story, but you have to read the book. Just hint. It has something to do with magic mushrooms. That's all I'm saying.
I'll let everybody know you find out about it relatively early in the book. So once you get into it, cat's out of the bag, the cat's out of the bag, or the dog's out of the bag, I guess, depending on how you want to look at it. So I know one of the things that you're doing, I believe part of the proceeds of your book is going to animal rescue organizations. So,
yeah,
tell us about that.
Well, from the very beginning, I mean, part of the thing involves Spike being kidnapped, and he's put in a horrible situation. And how many dogs are snatched off the street? How many dogs are out there whose masters have died because of virus, whatever? So I thought, wouldn't it be good to have right there in the book, a portion of proceeds from the book go to animal rescue organizations? So there you go. That's it.
I like it. I like it. And should we tell them what happens to Spike? You know, you're putting people in a position where they're concerned now. He gets kidnapped. Do we want to share what happened, or you got to read the book?
No, you really have to read the book to understand what happens to him. But it stays funny all the way through. But there is without question a melodramatic denouement, if you will, and a little bit of Rocky Balboa, just like in the Call of the Wild. Buck, the dog, discovers his inner wolf.
Right.
Spike discovers his inner Rocky Balboa.
Yes.
That he has what it takes in order to get through the horrible situation that he's in.
All right. So just a couple other things I want to touch on before we go today. So one of the things I've known you for years, I remember I'm from New York. I'm from Yonkers, which is just north of New York City. So I remember your show when it was on. You had a lot of great guests. Any particular guests? So who were some of the guests that you interviewed? Because you had a lot of very famous people you interviewed, and anything jumping out at you wanted to just share.
No, I appreciate you saying that. And many of them, not all, a proportion of 450 clips are on my YouTube channel, Bill Boggs TV. Okay. All you do is go to Bill Boggs TV and you'll glide through them.
Right.
You asked me, I'm going to mention three who've been in the news within the last 2 weeks. One, Jerry Stiller. Jerry Stiller was a guest on my Food Network show, Bill Boggs' Corner Table. Two, Little Richard. I have a 34-minute interview with Little Richard from Midday Live with Bill Boggs that includes Little Richard getting the piano at the end of the thing and doing some singing. Not much, but a little. But the feedback that I've gotten on the Little Richard interview, which honestly, the truth of the matter, David, I did the interview and I've never looked at the interview until Little Richard died and went back and looked at it. And he really says some top-notch things. So that's there on BillBoggs.com. If you go to BillBoggs.com, subscribe. It's free. And you'll get notices when we put up new things. And the third would be Natalie Wood. There is a terrific HBO documentary now on Natalie Wood. And it includes a portion of my interview with Natalie Wood. The recent Miles Davis documentary includes a portion of my interview with Miles Davis, which is on Bill Boggs TV. The Sammy Davis Jr. documentary on PBS last year includes a portion of my interview with Sammy Davis Jr. on Bill Boggs TV on YouTube. And there's also we're going to put this interview on Bill Boggs TV, right up there next to this. I'm doing a live homemade show now called Trap Live. It's every Friday at 5 o'clock. And then it lives on Bill Boggs TV on YouTube for 24/7 forever.
Right.
And so far I've had Lucy Arnaz, Lisa Lampanelli, the comedian Tom Cotter. Let's see, who else have we had on there? Ann Hampton Calloway, Bobby Rydell, my friend Bobby Rydell from Philadelphia. We've had really some nice shows. Very nice. Dean Martin's daughter was on.
All right, good stuff. So just a couple things before we finish up over here. So go check this out. It's either search for Adventures Spike the Wonder Dog or go to orderspike.com. Make sure to check out Bill Boggs TV, a lot of good stuff, a lot of fun stuff. And for me, a lot of historical stuff, because I don't want to date myself, but I grew up watching some of your stuff years ago. So
seriously, what's wrong with dating yourself? Listen, I'm going to date myself. How many people would have liked to have this experience? I was in 7th grade. My mother went in Philadelphia, went all the way down to the arena, which was far away. It was right far away. Bought 2 tickets to see Elvis Presley in 1957. Came home. I got a ticket and my younger sister got a ticket. And by ourselves, we went all the way from Northeast Philadelphia on a school night and saw Elvis Presley with the Jordanaires in 1957. Sure, I'm dating myself, but that's our life. Never apologize, ever, for how long you've lived. I've made it to 50. Look at it.
You look great.
Oh, yeah. I look great for 50. Oh, yeah. Okay. Sure.
You still got the energy, and you still got the Bill Boggs smile, so you're all good to go.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Any final words for our listeners today?
If you want to have a laugh, buy my book, The Adventures of Spike the Wonder Dog. If you've ever enjoyed my work on television, I'm going to tell you something right now. This is and I'm not, in my opinion, the single best piece of work I've ever done in my life. I put my heart and soul into this, never thinking that when it came out, people would need a laugh more than I could have ever possibly imagined. So it's orderspike.com.
All right, Bill, thanks for joining us. Go check out the book. Spike's a fun read, and we'll talk to everybody soon. Take care.
You have a future as a talk show host, young man.
I'll work on it. All right. Thanks,
Thank you.
Bill. Take care.